My son's mother-in-law faked a kidnapping and set my house on fire, so I got her deported. 5 years later, she's asking for forgiveness and a place to stay. I come from a long line of purebred white Americans. My parents, their parents, their parents, you get the idea. So when my son was finally adding some flavor into our family by marrying a beautiful woman from India, I was literally thrilled. She was the type to smile a lot, to never show up to your home without a housewarming gift, to always offer to do the dishes after dinner. And there was only one person who disapproved, her mother, Anya. The second we met, Anya spit on the floor right beside me and said she couldn't believe I was allowing this to happen. Well, I myself am a bit of a history buff, so I am no stranger to what us Americans have done to other countries. So I wasn't even mad. I just nodded and said, I hope we can have a bright future together, before offering for her to come inside. And just when I actually thought we were getting somewhere, she proceeded to wipe her finger along all the surfaces and inform me of how dusty everything was. She audibly sighed when she passed by the dishwasher full of dirty dishes and told me that if I couldn't even get the bare necessities right, then she can't trust how I raised my son. That's when my empathy ran short, because pointing out cultural differences was one thing, but criticizing how I raised my son, that was unacceptable. But I knew the day wasn't about me, it was about my son and his fiancée. So I put my feelings aside and just pulled the forced smile while nodding combo whenever she continued to speak. And the second she left, her daughter began apologizing profusely. She told me her mother was having a lot of trouble adjusting to the diversity, and that it was nothing personal. So I assured her that she was family now, and family always has issues to work through. But my reassurance was a lie, because I never expected Anya to get worse. A month later, we decided to host another family barbecue at our house. My husband made his burgers with his delicious secret sauce. Ugh, it was literally so beautiful. We were all outside drinking homemade lemonade, with a little too much sugar added by yours truly. When I heard it, the sound of something smashing against the floor, like glass or crystal splintering, me, my DIL, Zara, and my son, Winston, all came rushing inside. What I saw broke my heart into two. The vase of my granddad's ashes had been smashed on the marble floor. Anya was standing above it, her expression cold and satisfied. Zara screamed and Winston just held me. Consider it a blessing, Anya said, completely unremorseful. This was a cursed object from a cursed bloodline. You helped the British enslave our people. This is the least of what I should do as repayment. Her words literally sounded insane, but her face was completely straight, like what she was saying was justified. Tears were streaming down my face. I went to go pick up a sweeping brush, but Anya started stomping up and down on the pile of ash to make it harder for me. That was Zara's breaking point. Ma, if you don't get the F out right now, then you will never get to see your grandchildren. I will tell them that you're dead. And I guess it was the right thing to say, because instantly she bowed her head and rushed out of the home. Then Zara's strength fell. She held me while I cried, and I could feel her crying too. I'm so sorry. She tried to apologize, but I covered her mouth with my hand, because it wasn't anyone's fault, but Anya's. Winston carried me over to the couch while he dealt with the mess. You know, people always told me that I was too forgiving, that I'm too nice, but I never really understood what they were talking about until after my son's wedding, because in the days leading up, Anya was texting me almost every day apologizing. She said she didn't know what had come over her, but she is now willing to leave everything in the past. She even offered to go wedding dress shopping, and said she would pay for it too. I didn't consult my son, because I knew he'd tell me not to, so I just went. She helped me pick out a gorgeous white dress to wear. Apparently it was a custom in India where the bride wears yellow, and the attendees wear white. She even showed me a photo of the white dress she was wearing, so I decided to trust her, and bought it. Except on the day when I showed up, every other woman was wearing any color but white. I ran to find Anya, but stopped myself when I saw her at a distance, wearing a lavender dress. I was going to look for Zara, to explain the misunderstanding, but that's when I spotted a bottle of white out on one of the tables. And I guess anger can make you creative or something, because I grabbed it and went up to the other MIL. She grinned when she saw me, thinking she had won. While she spoke about how funny her prank was, I was unscrewing the bottle behind my back. Suddenly, I dumped it all over the front of her dress. Looks like we can both wear white now, I exclaimed with a smile plastered on my face. I could tell she wanted to do something back, but the wedding was starting, so she was forced to sit down. I thought that would teach her a lesson, and it actually did, at least for the rest of the wedding. She stayed silent and calm as a mouse. But then just 2 days later, my doorbell rang at 7 a.m. I stumbled to the door in my pajamas, thinking it might be a package delivery. Instead, I found Zara on my doorstep, her eyes red from crying. She's at our house, she blurted out before I could even say good morning. She showed up last night with all her luggage, claiming you'd violently thrown her out and she had nowhere else to go. I ushered Zara inside and put on a pot of coffee, trying to process this new level of manipulation. That's not what happened, and you know it. Of course I know, Zara said, accepting the steaming mug I handed her. But Winston, he feels guilty. She was sobbing, saying she'd be homeless, that she'd have to sleep on the streets of a foreign country. My stomach dropped. Please tell me he didn't let her stay. Zara's silence was answer enough, her fingers tightening around the ceramic mug. Just for a few days, she finally said, until she can find other arrangements. His words, not mine. I sighed. Zara, she's never going to leave unless someone makes her. Trust me. I learned that the hard way. I know, Zara whispered. But Winston, he's too kind. Like you. I winced at the comparison. Not anymore. I've learned my lesson. Zara looked up at me, her eyes suddenly fierce. Teach me. Teach me how to stand up to her like you did. That afternoon, Winston called. His voice sounded strained. Mom, I think I made a mistake. Let me guess. Anya's taken over your house already? She rearranged our entire kitchen while we were at work, and she threw out all of Zara's makeup because she said it had demonic ingredients. He lowered his voice to a whisper. She's also telling the neighbors that Zara and I are having fertility problems, and that's why she had to move in, to perform special fertility rituals. I nearly choked on my tea. body, the hot liquid burning my throat. Winston, you've been married for 2 weeks. I know. It's mortifying. Mrs. Patel from next door brought over a fertility statue this morning. Despite the seriousness of the situation, I had to stifle a laugh. So what are you going to do? There was a long pause. I don't know, Mom. She's Zara's mother. I can't just throw her out. Why not? I did. That's different. You're not related to her. Neither are you, technically. Mom, please be serious. I need advice. I thought for a moment. Have you asked Zara what she wants? She says she wants her gone, but I can tell she feels guilty too. It's complicated. I sighed. Family always is. After hanging up, I paced around my living room, the hardwood floors creaking beneath my feet. This woman was now terrorizing my son and his new wife. I couldn't stand by and do nothing, but what could I do without overstepping? My phone pinged with a text from Zara. She's going through our mail now. Help. That was it. Invitation or not, I was going over there. When I arrived at Winston and Zara's house, I could hear arguing from inside. I knocked, and the voices immediately hushed. Winston opened the door, looking exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. Mom? What are you doing here? Before I could answer, Anya appeared behind him. She was wearing one of Zara's robes and had a green face mask on. Oh look, it's the woman who abandoned me, she said dramatically. Come to finish the job? I ignored her and stepped inside, the scent of unfamiliar spices heavy in the air. I brought dinner, I said, holding up the bags of takeout I'd picked up on the way. Where's Zara? Taking a shower, Winston said, eyeing the food gratefully. Washing off the negative energy, Anya corrected. I told her she needs to cleanse herself 3 times a day if she wants to conceive. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Winston, could you help me set the table? In the kitchen, I whispered. This has to stop. She's completely taken over your lives. I know, he admitted, but how do we get her to leave without causing a huge family rift? Zara's already stressed enough. I thought for a moment. What if we found her somewhere else to stay? Somewhere nice, but not with family? Winston's eyes lit up. Like a hotel? I'd pay for it. Better yet, I said, what about one of those extended stay places? With a kitchen and everything? We could say it's a gift to thank her for coming all this way for the wedding. For the first time in days, Winston smiled. That might actually work. Over dinner, I casually brought up how exhausting it must be for Anya to stay in a house with newlyweds. You deserve your own space, I said sweetly, passing her a container of curry. Somewhere you can relax without worrying about disturbing Winston and Zara. Anya narrowed her eyes suspiciously. I'm perfectly comfortable here. Of course you are, I continued smoothly. But wouldn't it be nice to have your own kitchen? Your own bathroom? No one to answer to? I could see her considering it. Zara, catching on quickly, added, there's this lovely place just 10 minutes away. Very upscale. Many Indian families stay there when they visit. We'd cover it, of course, Winston chimed in, as a thank you gift. Anya took a sip of water, clearly weighing her options. How long would this gift last? Until your flight home, I said firmly. 3 weeks, right? She frowned. I might need to extend my stay. The reservation would be fixed, I replied, maintaining my smile. But it's a really beautiful place. Pool, gym, daily housekeeping. The mention of housekeeping seemed to tip the scales. I suppose I could consider it. For Zara and Winston's privacy, of course. The next day, Winston secured a reservation at an extended stay hotel and helped Anya move her things. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking we'd found a solution. Zara called me that evening, sounding happier than she had in days. It worked. She's gone. We deep cleaned the guest room and found she'd hidden all sorts of weird things in there. Strange powders, little dolls with hair stuck to them, creepy stuff. Dolls with hair? I repeated, feeling uneasy. Yeah, one of them had what looked like Winston's hair. Another had something that looked like your hair color. A chill ran down my spine. Zara, those sound like, well, like something used in certain rituals. What, like voodoo dolls? Zara laughed, then stopped abruptly. Wait, you don't think she's actually… I don't know what to think anymore, I admitted. Just, maybe burn those dolls, okay? For the next few days, things were peaceful. Too peaceful. Anya hadn't called or texted any of us, which seemed out of character. I should have been relieved, but instead, I felt increasingly anxious. My anxiety proved justified when Winston called me in a panic a week later. Mom, we have a problem. A big one. What happened? Is it Anya? She's gone. Just disappeared. Left all her things in the hotel room, but she's been missing for 2 days. The hotel called because she wasn't answering when housekeeping knocked. My blood ran cold. Have you called the police? Not yet. I wanted to check if maybe she'd contacted you or Dad first. No, nothing. I paused. Winston, this feels deliberate. What do you mean? I mean, what if she's not actually missing? What if this is another manipulation tactic? Winston was silent for a moment. That's pretty dark, Mom. Darker than making voodoo dolls of your family members? Point taken. But what should we do? File a missing persons report, I advised. Cover your bases, but don't be surprised if she suddenly reappears with some dramatic story. Sure enough, 3 days later, Anya showed up at my doorstep at midnight, soaking wet from the rain, with a wild story about being kidnapped by people who thought she was someone else. She claimed they'd kept her blindfolded in a basement before realizing their mistake and releasing her. And the first place you came was here? I asked skeptically. Not to Winston and Zara's? Not to the police? I knew you wouldn't believe me, she sobbed, mascara running down her cheeks. But it's true. I was so scared. Despite my suspicions, I couldn't leave her standing in the rain. I let her in and called Winston immediately. She's here, I told him, with an absolutely insane story about being kidnapped. We'll be right over, he said, sounding both relieved and exasperated. While waiting for them to arrive, I gave Anya a towel and kept a careful distance. Something about this whole situation felt wrong. Why did you come here, Anya? Really? She dabbed at her eyes with the towel. Because you're the only one strong enough to protect me. Protect you? From what? From them. The people who are after me. I crossed my arms. And who exactly is after you? Her eyes darted around nervously. I can't say, but they're dangerous. They followed me from India. This is ridiculous, I muttered. If someone's really after you, we need to call the police. No police! She shrieked, suddenly agitated. They're in on it too. When Winston and Zara arrived, Anya immediately switched from paranoid to pitiful. throwing herself into Zara's arms and sobbing about her ordeal. Zara looked over her mother's shoulder at me with a clear, "What the hell?" expression. "She says she was kidnapped," I explained, "and now mysterious people are after her, including, apparently, the police." Winston rubbed his temples. "Mom, can we talk privately for a minute?" In the kitchen, Winston, Zara, and I huddled together. "This is insane," Zara whispered. "She's making this up for attention." "I agree," Winston said. "But what do? We can't just throw her out if there's even a small chance she's telling the truth." I sighed. "She can stay here tonight, on the couch. Then tomorrow, we figure out a plan." That night, I barely slept. I kept imagining Anya wandering around my house, planting more creepy dolls or worse. Around 3 a.m., I heard a noise and crept downstairs to investigate. Anya was in my kitchen, talking quietly on her phone in a language I didn't understand. When she saw me, she quickly hung up. "Who were you talking to at 3 a.m.?" I asked. "Just checking on my sister in India," she said smoothly. "Different time zones, you know." "Right," I said, not believing her for a second. "Well, since we're both up, let's talk. This kidnapping story. I want details. Where were you taken from? What did these people look like? How did you escape?" She blinked rapidly. I don't want to talk about it. It's too traumatic. "Anya, if you're in real danger, we need information to help you. Otherwise, I'm calling the police in the morning." Her face hardened. "You really are a cold woman, aren't you? My daughter married into a family of heartless people." I leaned against the counter. "Interesting how quickly you switch from needing my protection to insulting me." She stood up abruptly. "I'm going back to sleep. We'll discuss this in the morning." But in the morning, Anya was gone again. So was my purse, containing my wallet, keys, and phone. When Winston and Zara woke up, I had to use their phone to call and cancel all my credit cards. While on hold with the bank, I noticed Zara looking increasingly uncomfortable. "What's wrong?" I asked, covering the phone. "I just got a text from my aunt in India," she said slowly. "Apparently my mother has been telling our entire family that you've been abusing her. She sent photos of bruises, claiming you pushed her down the stairs." "What?" I nearly dropped the phone. "I never touched her." "I know that," Zara said quickly, "but my relatives don't. They're all calling, asking if I'm safe with Winston, if his family is violent." Winston put his arm around her. "This is getting out of hand. We need to stop this before it gets worse." "How?" I asked. "She's spreading lies halfway around the world, and now she's stolen my identity." As if on cue, Winston's phone rang. It was my husband, calling from his business trip. "Someone just tried to use your credit card to buy a plane ticket to Mumbai," he reported. "The bank flagged it as suspicious and called me as the secondary account holder." "It's Anya," I said. "She stole my purse last night. I'm coming home," he decided. "This has gone far enough." While waiting for my husband to return, we filed a police report about the stolen purse and contacted the embassy to warn them about potential identity theft. I was in the middle of explaining the situation to a very confused embassy official when Zara gasped, staring at her phone. "What now?" I asked, dreading the answer. "She's posted on Facebook that she's moving in with us permanently to protect her daughter from her abusive in-laws. She's tagged all our wedding guests." Winston looked over her shoulder at the post. "There are already dozens of comments from people offering support and saying how brave she is." I felt sick. "She's systematically destroying our reputation and trying to isolate you from us." "Not just that," Zara said quietly. "Look at the comments from my cousins. They're saying they always knew Americans couldn't be trusted, that I made a mistake marrying Winston." Winston's face fell. "She's trying to break us up." "No," Zara said firmly, taking his hand. "That's not going to happen. Ever." I'd never been prouder of my daughter-in-law than in that moment. My husband returned that evening, and we held a family council around our dining table. Zara had printed out screenshots of Anya's social media posts, texts to relatives, and even emails she'd sent to Winston's workplace suggesting he was unstable and needed family supervision. "This is calculated," my husband said, reviewing the evidence. "She's trying to control every aspect of your lives by destroying your relationships, your reputations, and your independence." "But why?" Winston asked. "What does she gain from all this?" Zara sighed heavily. "Control. It's always been about control with her. When I told her I was marrying Winston and moving to America, she stopped eating for a week. When that didn't work, she threatened to disown me. When that didn't work either, she switched tactics and pretended to support me. And now she's escalating because none of her previous methods worked," I realized. "So what do?" Winston asked. "We can't reason with her. We can't ignore her. And apparently, we can't even kick her out without her stealing identities and spreading lies." My husband, always the practical one, pulled out a notepad. "We need a comprehensive plan. First, damage control. Zara, you need to post your own statement countering your mother's claims. Winston, contact your workplace HR department and explain the situation before she causes problems there." "What about the stolen purse?" I asked. "The police are already looking for her on that charge," he reminded me. "But we should also alert the airport security in case she tries to leave the country using your ID." We spent hours developing our counter strategy. By midnight, we had a plan that addressed every aspect of Anya's campaign against us. We were exhausted but united. The next morning, Zara posted a heartfelt statement explaining that her mother was experiencing some mental health issues and that the allegations against her in-laws were completely false. She included photos of us all together, looking happy, and ended with a plea for understanding and privacy. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Friends and family rallied around us. Even some of Zara's relatives in India expressed concern about Anya's behavior, saying it seemed out of character even for her. But Anya herself remained missing. My purse was found abandoned in a park, minus the cash and credit cards, but with my ID still inside. The police told us this suggested she wasn't planning to flee the country after all. Then what is she planning? I wondered aloud. We didn't have to wait long to find out. 3 days later, Winston and Zara's neighbor called them in a panic. "There's smoke coming from your house," she cried. "I've called the fire department, but I thought you should know right away." We all raced over to find fire trucks already at the scene. Firefighters were dousing flames that appeared to be concentrated in the kitchen area. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered on the street. "Does anyone know how it started?" Winston asked a firefighter. "Looks like someone left candles burning unattended," he replied. "Several of them, arranged in some kind of pattern on the floor." Zara and I exchanged a look. "Ritual candles," she whispered, like the ones my mother uses. As if summoned by our thoughts, Anya suddenly appeared, pushing through the crowd. She was wailing dramatically, drawing everyone's attention. My daughter's home, she cried. All her wedding gifts, all her memories. How could this happen? She spotted us and rushed over, throwing her arms around Zara. My poor child. Don't worry, you'll come stay with me now. Zara stiffened and pulled away. With you? Where exactly are you staying, mother? Last I heard you were missing after stealing my mother-in-law's purse. Anya's performance faltered for a moment before she recovered. I've been staying with friends. Friends who understand what I've been going through with this terrible family. What friends? Winston challenged. Name one. Anya ignored him, turning to address the gathered neighbors instead. You see how they treat me? After everything I've done for them? A firefighter approached us. The fire's under control. Damage is mostly limited to the kitchen and living room. You folks know anything about the candles we found? Arranged in a circle with some kind of powder? Before anyone could respond, Anya gasped loudly. Black magic! I warned Zara about this. Her mother-in-law practices dark arts. I nearly choked. Excuse me? I saw her with those same candles, Anya continued, pointing at me accusingly. She wanted to drive me away because I discovered her secret. The neighbors were watching this spectacle with wide eyes. Some were even recording on their phones. That's enough, my husband said firmly, stepping forward. Officer, this woman is Zara's mother. She's been harassing our family for weeks. She stole my wife's purse 3 days ago, and we have a police report to prove it. And now, mysteriously, a fire starts with ritual candles, the same type she uses. The officer looked between us, clearly trying to make sense of the situation. Ma'am, he said to Anya, I'm going to need to see some identification. Anya's face contorted with rage. You're all against me. All of you. She turned to run, but 2 officers blocked her path. Ma'am, please calm down, one said. We just need to ask you some questions. What happened next stunned everyone. Anya dropped to the ground and began convulsing, her eyes rolling back in her head. Foam appeared at the corners of her mouth. She's having a seizure, someone shouted. Call an ambulance. Paramedics rushed over while the rest of us watched in horror. They loaded her into an ambulance and Zara, despite everything, insisted on going with her. She's still my mother, she said quietly to Winston. I'll call you from the hospital. Hours later, at the hospital, a doctor pulled Zara, Winston, and me aside. Physically, your mother is fine, he explained. The seizure was self-induced. It's a technique some people can learn to do. As for the foam, she had a small packet of antacid tablets in her cheek. She faked a medical emergency? I asked, incredulous. It appears so, the doctor confirmed. Our psychiatrist would like to evaluate her. This kind of behavior suggests some serious underlying issues. Zara looked devastated. I knew she was manipulative, but this is beyond anything I imagined. The psychiatric evaluation confirmed what we already suspected. Anya had a severe personality disorder characterized by manipulation, lying, and an inability to accept rejection. The psychiatrist recommended inpatient treatment, but since Anya wasn't a U.S. citizen, there were complications with insurance and legal authority. The best solution might be to have her return to India where she can receive treatment in a familiar environment, the psychiatrist suggested. Zara nodded slowly. I'll contact my family there. My aunt is a doctor. She can help arrange something. For the next week, Anya remained in the hospital while we sorted out the logistics. The fire damage to Winston and Zara's house was covered by insurance, but they would need to stay with us for at least a month during repairs. Every day brought new challenges. Anya attempting to sign herself out against medical advice, calling relatives in India with wild stories about being held prisoner in an American hospital, even trying to convince a nurse to smuggle out a letter full of accusations against us. But through it all, our family stood united. Winston and Zara's relationship grew stronger, not weaker, in the face of adversity. My husband and I rediscovered our teamwork skills, and I found a strength in myself I hadn't known existed. Finally, the day came to put Anya on a plane back to India. Her sister had flown in to escort her, and arrangements had been made for her to enter a treatment facility upon arrival. At the airport, Anya was surprisingly subdued. You think you've won, she said quietly to me while the others were checking in luggage. But this isn't over. Zara will come to her senses eventually. Blood is thicker than water. I looked her directly in the eyes. You're right about one thing, Anya. Blood is thicker than water, but love is thicker than blood. And despite everything you've done, we all still love Zara enough to protect her, even from you. For just a moment, I saw something like respect flicker in her eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by the cold calculation I'd come to recognize. We'll see, she said, turning away. As we watched Anya and her sister board the plane, Zara leaned against me with a sigh. Is it really over? She asked. I put my arm around her shoulders. For now, at least. But I couldn't shake the feeling that Anya's parting words were more than just empty threats. This woman had destroyed my father's ashes, stolen my identity, possibly set fire to her own daughter's house, and faked a medical emergency, all to maintain control. What would she do next? From halfway around the world. As the plane took off, carrying Anya back to India, I made a silent promise to myself and my family. Whatever came next, we would face it together. And I would never, ever be too nice again when it came to protecting the people I loved. But I had no idea just how soon that promise would be tested. I couldn't shake that ominous feeling as we drove home from the airport. Winston and Zara were chatting in the backseat about paint colors for their repaired kitchen, but my mind kept replaying Anya's final words. My husband squeezed my hand, sensing my unease. She's gone, he whispered. It's over. For the next 2 weeks, life settled into a pleasant rhythm. Having Winston and Zara staying with us while their house was repaired felt like a gift. Extra time with my son and the daughter-in-law I'd grown to genuinely love. We cooked together, binge-watched terrible reality shows, and helped them pick out new furniture to replace what had been damaged in the fire. Zara received occasional updates from her aunt about Anya's treatment. Apparently, she was being cooperative at the facility, which seemed suspicious given her previous behavior, but I kept those thoughts to myself. No need to stir up worry when things were finally peaceful. Then the email started. The first one arrived in my inbox with the subject line, "A Mother's Forgiveness." I almost deleted it as spam until I noticed the sender, Anya. "I am writing to extend my deepest apologies for my behavior. The doctors here have helped me see how wrong I was. I hope someday you can find it in your heart to forgive me. I only want what's best for my daughter and your son." It seemed reasonable, too reasonable. I forwarded it to Zara, who called me immediately. "She sent me one too," she said, her voice tight, asking if she could video chat with us this weekend. "My aunt says the doctors think family communication would be healing for her." "What do you want to do?" I asked carefully. "I don't know," Zara admitted. "Part of me wants to believe she's getting better, but the other part remembers everything she did." I finished. "Exactly." After discussing it with Winston and my husband, we agreed to a supervised video call with Anya, with her therapist present. What could go wrong? Everything, as it turned out. The call started normally enough. Anya looked subdued, sitting in what appeared to be an office with a woman she introduced as Dr. Kapoor. She apologized again, asked about the house repairs, and seemed genuinely interested in Winston and Zara's lives. Then, casually, she mentioned her upcoming discharge. "Discharge?" Zara repeated, alarmed. "Already? It's only been 2 weeks. Dr. Kapoor feels I've made excellent progress," Anya said smoothly. "Isn't that right, doctor?" The therapist nodded. "Anya has been very receptive to treatment." Something felt off. Dr. Kapoor's eyes never quite met the camera, and her responses seemed rehearsed. I leaned forward, studying the background more carefully. That's when I noticed a framed photo on the wall behind them, a family portrait that included a woman who looked exactly like Dr. Kapoor, standing next to Anya. "Zara," I said slowly, "is Dr. Kapoor related to your mother by any chance?" Anya's smile faltered for a split second. Zara's eyes widened. That's my mother's cousin Priya," she gasped. "She's not a doctor. She runs a clothing boutique." The facade crumbled instantly. Anya's face contorted with rage as she realized we'd caught her. "You think you're so clever," she hissed, dropping all pretense of remorse. "You've poisoned my daughter against me." "Mother, you're not even in treatment, are you?" Zara demanded. "Treatment? For what? For trying to protect my daughter from these Americans who stole her away?" Anya spat. "I don't need treatment, but you'll see. I've already set things in motion that you can't stop." Before we could respond, she ended the call. Winston immediately called Zara's aunt, who confirmed our worst fears. Anya had checked herself out of the facility after just 3 days, claiming a family emergency. No one had seen her since. "Set things in motion? What does that mean?" my husband asked, pacing the living room. "Nothing good," I replied grimly. We didn't have to wait long to find out. The next morning, Winston's boss called. Someone had sent the entire company an email with doctored photos showing Winston in compromising positions, along with fake text messages suggesting he was having an affair with a coworker. "It's obviously fake," his boss assured him, "but it's causing quite a stir. HR wants to meet with you." While Winston dealt with that crisis, Zara discovered all her social media accounts had been hacked. Posts were appearing under her name, claiming she was miserable in her marriage and planning to return to India. "She's trying to destroy our lives from across the ocean," Zara said, frantically trying to regain control of her accounts. Then my phone rang. It was Rachel, my best friend since college. "Are you okay?" she asked immediately. "I just got the strangest email about you." "What email?" It's supposedly from you, but it doesn't sound like you at all. It says you're having a nervous breakdown and asking friends to send money to help with medical bills. There's a link to some foreign bank account." My stomach dropped. "Rachel, that's not from me. It's from my daughter-in-law's mother. She's not well." "I figured it was a scam," Rachel said, "but it has details only someone who knows you would know, like about your father's ashes." Ice ran through my veins. How many people had received this email? How much damage was Anya doing to my reputation? Over the next few days, the attacks escalated. Someone, Anya or people working for her, filed complaints against my husband's business. Our credit scores mysteriously plummeted. Winston's car was vandalized in his company parking lot. The police were sympathetic but said there was little they could do without proof connecting Anya directly to these incidents. "We need to fight back," I declared during our nightly family crisis meeting. "Not just defend, actually fight back." "How?" Winston asked, exhaustion evident in his voice. "She's in another country." Zara, who had been quietly scrolling through her phone, suddenly looked up. "Maybe not. My cousin just posted a photo from a restaurant downtown, and look who's in the background." She turned her phone around to show us. There, at a table behind her cousin, was Anya. "She's here," I whispered, "in the city." "That photo was posted an hour ago," Zara said. "She might still be there." My husband grabbed his keys. "Let's go." We arrived at the restaurant 20 minutes later, but Anya was gone. The waiter remembered her, though. "Oh yes, the lady who complained about everything. She mentioned she was staying at the Westbrook Hotel." Armed with this information, we debated our next move. Going to confront her seemed dangerous. Who knew what she might do? But involving the police had proven ineffective so far. "I have an idea," Zara said suddenly, "but it's a bit underhanded." "At this point," I replied, "underhanded is exactly what we need." Zara's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. She would text her mother, pretending to have had a change of heart. She'd claim that all the attacks had made her realize she belonged with her family in India, not with Winston in America. She'd suggest meeting to discuss her return. "She'll never believe I've suddenly turned against you," Zara explained to Winston, "but she might believe I'm finally succumbing to the pressure. It's what she wants to hear." "It's dangerous," Winston protested. "What if she tries to kidnap you or something?" "We'll be right there," I assured him, "and we'll have proof of everything she's done." The trap was set. Zara arranged to meet Anya the next day at a cafe near the hotel. We arrived early, secured a table with a clear view, and waited. My husband had a friend from his college days, now a private investigator named Declan, join us to document everything. Anya arrived precisely on time, looking triumphant as she spotted Zara sitting alone. I held my breath as she approached my daughter-in-law. "I knew you would come to your senses," we heard Anya say through the small microphone we'd hidden in Zara's purse. "These people have been poisoning your mind." "You were right, mother," Zara replied, her voice convincingly defeated. "I've been so unhappy. All these terrible things happening. It's too much." Anya practically glowed with victory. Of course it is. I had to make you see. Make me see? Zara repeated innocently. What do you mean? And then, incredibly, Anya confessed to everything. The hacked accounts, the fake emails, even hiring someone to vandalize Winston's car. She boasted about bribing her cousin to pretend to be a doctor, about never actually entering treatment. She admitted to setting the fire in Winston and Zara's kitchen, explaining how she'd arranged the ritual candles and powders to make it look like black magic. It was all to save you, she insisted, to bring you home where you belong. And what about Winston? Zara asked. He loves me. Anya waved dismissively. Men are replaceable. Family is forever. You're right about that, Zara said, her voice suddenly stronger. Family is forever, and Winston's family is my family now. She stood up just as we approached the table. Anya's face drained of color as she saw us, and Declan with his camera. You tricked me, she hissed at Zara. I learned from the best, Zara replied calmly. Declan stepped forward. I've recorded everything, ma'am. Your confession to identity theft, harassment, vandalism, fraud, and arson, all federal crimes in the United States. The police are on their way. Anya lunged for the camera, but my husband blocked her path. It's over, Anya. For real this time. The police arrived minutes later. With the recorded confession and our documented evidence of weeks of harassment, they arrested Anya on multiple charges. As they led her away, she fixed me with a venomous stare. This isn't over, she said, the same words she'd used at the airport. But this time, I just smiled. Yes, Anya, it is. The legal proceedings were surprisingly swift. Faced with overwhelming evidence and the possibility of a lengthy prison sentence, Anya accepted a plea deal. Immediate deportation with a permanent ban from entering the United States, plus financial restitution for the damage she'd caused. On the day of her deportation, none of us went to the airport. Instead, we gathered at Winston and Zara's newly repaired house for a housewarming party. The kitchen had been completely redone, with no trace of the fire Anya had set. The living room featured new furniture and fresh paint. It felt like a clean slate. As we toasted with glasses of my too sweet lemonade, Zara leaned against me with a sigh. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, she admitted quietly, for another email or some new disaster. I think it's really over this time, I said, squeezing her shoulder. She can't hurt us anymore. I know I should feel sad, Zara said. She's my mother, but mostly I just feel free. That's okay, I assured her. Some people just can't be part of our lives without destroying them, even family. 6 months later, we received a thick envelope from India. Inside was a formal letter from Anya's sister, informing us that Anya had actually entered a legitimate treatment program this time. Enclosed was a handwritten note from Anya herself. I still believe I was right to fight for my daughter, but my methods were wrong. The doctors here say I may never understand why what I did was wrong, but I can learn to behave differently. I will not contact you again unless invited. This is my final goodbye. Zara read the letter twice, then carefully folded it and put it away. Do you think she means it? She asked me later. I don't know, I answered honestly, but even if she doesn't, we know how to handle her now. A year after the wedding, Zara and Winston invited us over for dinner. They seemed nervous and excited, exchanging glances throughout the meal. Finally, over dessert, they made their announcement. We're having a baby, Winston said, grinning from ear to ear. Joy burst through me like sunshine. That's wonderful. As we celebrated, I noticed Zara looking thoughtful. What is it, honey? I asked. I was just thinking. About my mother, she admitted. About whether she should know she's going to be a grandmother. The table fell silent. It was a complicated question with no easy answer. That's entirely your decision, I said carefully. Whatever you choose, we'll support you. Zara nodded, then smiled. I think I'll wait. See if her treatment is really working. The baby deserves better than what I had. The baby has you, I reminded her. And Winston, and us. That's already better. That night, as my husband and I drove home, he asked what I was thinking about. Family, I replied. How it's not always what you expect. Disappointed? He teased. I thought about Winston and Zara, about the grandchild on the way, about all we'd been through together. Not even a little bit. Our family got stronger through all this. Different, but stronger. And as we pulled into our driveway, I realized something important. Anya had tried to destroy us because she couldn't accept change, couldn't accept difference. But in resisting her, in protecting each other, we'd created something beautiful. A family defined not by blood or tradition, but by love and choice. That was worth fighting for. That was worth everything.